Before I answer the question, should you give up on planning to go to medical school or on your dreams of becoming a doctor, I want to tell the story of one of my coworkers at an ambulance company that I was working at. And this coworker, I was her partner, so I had been on the ambulance with her. I sort of knew the background. She was studying to try to pass the paramedic exam. And if you're not familiar, being an EMT and being a paramedic are not the same thing. You have to get your EMT license first, and that takes anywhere from 2 weeks if it's a super accelerated program, which are hard to find and somewhat rare, or more standard is like about a quarter or about 2-3 months of classes. So my program was about 5 weeks for my EMT class, but compare that to being a paramedic. Being a paramedic, the paramedic school takes about 2 years, and there's a bunch of prerequisites, and it's much more expensive. So it's a big deal if you fail the paramedic exam 4 times. If you fail the paramedic exam 4 times, then you have to redo the whole 2-year course. And she had failed the paramedic exam 3 times. And I was talking to her about it, and then I was like, so what are you planning to change this time? What's going to be different when you're studying for the exam? And she told me she had put controls on different parts of her phone. She was going to not use social media. She felt like she had been distracted in the past. And, I just didn't really say much else. I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. I was more just trying to have a conversation. And then I would see her at the base. We had a TV in the main area, and you could sort of hang out while you're waiting to get calls. In between, when you're dispatched to patients or whatever, there's a lot of downtime. And it was great for me. I would use that time to write my secondary applications for medical school. And I would see her studying. But she would have the TV on and kind of be watching movies. And when she was studying, she was sort of just highlighting stuff in the book. It seemed very passive to me, and she was taking some notes, but mostly like reading and highlighting. And I, as someone who's done a lot of studying, in college and for the MCAT and everything else, a bunch of stuff came to mind. I was thinking, oh, this is passive learning. Like, this doesn't seem great. She's not really testing herself. But the point being is that she wasn't actually really reflecting on the way that the mistakes she had made in the past. Like, she wasn't trying to change her underlying problem. She recognized that maybe like Instagram was being distracting for her, but she wasn't trying to address all the distractions. And she wasn't changing the actual studying itself. Like, she thought it was just distractions that were the problem, instead of changing, I'm sure she had been reading and highlighting the book in the past as her preferred study method. So that story, the reason I'm telling it is related. I'm going to come to that in a second, but I just want to emphasize, first of all, if your struggle has been academic in nature, whether it's your GPA or your MCAT score, I would encourage you not to give up on your dream of becoming a doctor. Granted, you've done everything I said in the most important thing to do before medical school video, which is to really understand what it's like to be a doctor and really understand what it's like to interact with people who have tragic stories and who don't actually recover, and maybe hopefully have some encounters with patients who do recover and can bring hope to the situation, and sort of see, all right, if I'm around this for decades, is it going to really be a heavy weight on my conscience and my soul, or are those success stories going to bring hope to me, even though a lot of the time things won't turn out well for my patients? And if you see what it's like to be a doctor, you work with patients, you volunteer, you're involved in the healthcare world, and you still think it's a good fit for you, then I would encourage you not to give up on it. And because there's post-bac programs, if your GPA isn't very good, you can retake the MCAT many times, and it's not great to do that, but you can do that. And you can go to a DO school over an MD school. That might give you a better chance. Or there's programs where it's literally post-bac into a specific MD program. So don't get discouraged because you have bad grades in your undergraduate career. Don't get discouraged because maybe you dropped out of college or something and you're coming back years later. Just make sure that that's actually the career path you want to do. And then consider, that story about the ambulance company when you're adapting your study plan. Make sure that you're changing not just one thing. You're addressing underlying problems. You're addressing, the studying itself. Is there a lot of questions? Is there a lot of interactive studying? Is it passive learning? These sorts of things. Because studying, in my opinion, is a skill and one that you need to develop. It's like playing an instrument. The practice sessions themselves are a skill. The focus is a skill. on top of the actual musical technique. If you ever try to like practice guitar for an hour and you're trying to play arpeggios vertically on the strings to learn the fretboard better, it's very easy to start just noodling around and playing random licks and playing the blues and A over and over again instead of like focusing in on that. Like focus is actually skill that's built. There's a lot of study specific skills. So like work on those things and you can do it. I fundamentally believe that you don't have to be as smart as some people make it seem like you have to be a doctor. You have to learn the skill of studying and really hone that skill and be committed over a long period of time. So I'm coming to you from New York, so I don't have the setup I usually have. And if you want to follow me on my journey to being a doctor, you can click the buttons below the video. You can join me on Fridays. I skipped last week because of Halloween, but this coming week I'll have a video for the Science in the News series where I cover different recent developments related to healthcare and science from the news, or even from the history of the medical establishment and other things. There will be lots of cool stuff coming on that series, so stay tuned for that. And that's all I've got for this video.